Hi, in this video I am going to answer a specific question. What you should do after you have recorded your chapter for audiobook? Should you start editing it first or should you start processing it first? So by editing I mean cleaning up your audio. Your audio will have many repeated words, many repeated sentences, some errors. So should you remove those first before you apply any audio effects? Or should you apply audio effects and then start removing those parts? Well, the answer is there is no one answer for this question, because sometimes there can be some issues in the audio that must be removed, that should be removed before you start processing, before you start applying audio effects. Otherwise, your recording will not sound as great as it should be, and sometimes it can actually degrade the processing quality. And other times, without proper processing, some of the audio issues, some of the problems may not be identified. So for a better cleanup, it is need to be processed. So this is kind of a tricky situation, and there is some kind of method to assess actually what you should do. Should you clean up or should you process? The correct way of thinking this is how you have recorded your audio. There are many different recording techniques like clicker technique, marker technique, long pause technique. So with this technique, what you actually do when you make a mistake, you make a click sound. You can do this with the dog clicker or some kind of clicker to make a click sound when you make a mistake. And later, by looking at the waveform, you can identify which part you need to remove. Let's look at this audio, this waveform. It is very short, but one important thing about this recording is there is no abrupt high peaks. I have not used any kind of clicking techniques. So for this audio, it does not matter much if I process this fast or if I edit this fast. But for some audio, it is necessary to have the processing fast. But for some audio, it is necessary to have the cleaning up fast, especially if you are using the clicker technique. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'll close Audacity and open again. And now I'll start recording, and whenever I make a mistake, I will actually put a click sound. And for the click sound, I'll just clap my hand. I don't have a clicker, but you will get the idea. So welcome to this audiobook narration playlist in Audacity. In this series, I will show you how to narrate. In this series, I will show you how to narrate and produce an audiobook using Audacity, covering the complete audiobook production workflow. The focus will be on the audiobook production workflow, which is a mystery for many people. So you see I have recorded a sample here, and you can see these are some abrupt high peaks. So for this recording I have done these two. At these 2 points I made mistake, and then I introduced a click sound, and then I recorded the next part of the audio. So when I did that, actually these abrupt high peaks can destroy the processing workflow. If I now process the audio, then I am not going to get a very clean audio. My final audio won't be that good. You can just you can easily check that if I add an normalize effect. And what happens if I now normalize to -3, you can see the audio is actually, the volume level of the audio has been lowered. I will undo this and I will just normalize only this part to show you why. You can see that actually with a normalize effect, those part of the audio should increase in volume, but with these clicks in the middle, that is not happening. So the processing won't be ideal if I now start processing the audio right away. What I should now do, I should actually remove the error parts and the clicks first, and then I should start processing. I'm not going in very detailed processing right now, just removing this to demonstrate the point actually what is happening. And now this audio is cleaned up, like the obvious issues are cleaned up. There can be some other issues, like there can be some long pauses, there can be some filler words or some mistakes in the audio, but the waveform now looks kind of ideal. And at this point what I can do, even at the start we have quite a long pause which will not get into the final audio, but for now it's not an issue because I have removed the abrupt peaks. And now if I normalize it, then you can see the audio has now a uniform shape. All the parts got a volume increase. So this is, for this kind of situation, you have to clean up the audio first and then you have to apply the processing. The kind of clicks introduced in this audio was using the clicker method, but sometimes you may not be using the clicker method. You are maybe applying the long pause method. Like in the long pause method, you record something, you talk something, and let's say you have made an error, then if you give a long pause like this, and then you start talking again. So when you look at this waveform, then you will see that there are some long pauses, and these long pauses need to be removed, but it is a actually indication that you made some error, and some error parts are around this area of the waveform and you have to remove that. If you record in this technique, then processing fast won't be a problem. But if you have any abrupt high peaks even in this technique, then that need to be removed. For example, I am showing you what I mean by that. I am recording, this is, let's say I am not employing any clicker technique, I am employing the long pause technique. And if I suddenly so in this part the audio I actually coughed, and here actually I have cleared my throat on this part. I am not playing, I am not in this part of the recording I actually cleared my throat, so the waveform actually got a bit of taller than the rest of the waveform, rest of the normally speaking. So in this situation I also need to clean up these things, or otherwise I will not get the proper processing. I can show you just using the normalize effect. You can see the audio shrunk. I will undo this and I will remove this and I will apply the normalize again. You can see now the audio has got a better shape. So if I summarize the rule for processing fast or editing fast, then you have to first think of if you have any abrupt high peaks, like if there is anything in your audio that looks quite different than you're normally speaking, then those parts have to be removed fast. If those are actually silenced, then it is not a problem, not an issue. You can start processing and later you can remove those. But if these are like the click sounds, or like you are clearing your throat or other kind of loud sound, other kind of sounds, then those need to be removed fast before you start processing your audio. And for processing your audio, you already know on my tutorials I show the effects like normalize, noise reduction, EQ, compressor, and normalize. That is my flow, and I also provide macros to do all these things in a single click. Like I'll go back to the, like this is the audio which need to be processed, and if I now go to the macro, then everything will be processed in a one click. Let's say I will just use the improve sound macro, and the audio has been processed in a single click. And if I go to the ACX check, then I can see the peak and RMS is now processed. The noise floor has not passed, but the noise floor has to be dealt separately. And I will show you in detail in the next video how this peak, RMS, and noise floor can be achieved according to the ACX standards. But for this video, so the takeaway of this video about cleaning fast or processing fast should be like this. If you see some abrupt high peaks, or if you use the clicker method for recording, then you have to remove those part with the clicks. You have to remove the part with the abrupt high peaks, and then you can start processing. If your audio do not have such abrupt high peaks or abrupt tall peaks, then you can start editing fast or processing fast. It won't matter much. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.